Recording. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. Very happy to share with you. This is our first quarterly meeting of the 2021 school year, of the calendar year 2021. And so we appreciate everyone joining us today. It looks like we have standing room only for this meeting today. So just we're going to go through updates from all the different divisions, and then if anyone has questions that follow, you're more than welcome to ask them. And so today we're going to have Lynn Liu, our Financial Services Director, kick us off with updates from financial services. So Lynn, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Conway. Our board approved our general operating budget for 21-22 at our February meeting. That's now with our school districts for their vote. That is the only budget that we prepare that also gets voted on by the school districts. So that is out with them. Hopefully they all get it approved at this March or April meeting, and then I have to have that submitted into PDE by May 1st. I'm in the throes working with Dr. Thomas and some other folks in his organization on all of the various student services budgets. There's about another 25 to 30 budgets that are in development at this point in various stages. So that's kind of been my focus, as well as a lot of new grants that are coming out for non-public schools. So I've been working with PDE. It's been very interesting working with that group for the Division of Federal Programs and my PAU job alike lead. So it's been very, very busy. I do want to thank my staff because like the day-to-day stuff, they're the ones that handle it all. I seem to be pulled in too many other directions, but they keep everything running. So I appreciate their hard work.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Lynn. And one thing I do want to share with everyone is Lynn has been named to be the leader of the statewide PAIU business directors, business managers group. So she has taken that on to not only get us at the table, but also to get information that we can utilize here. So congratulations, Lynn, on being named. I think there's a co-leader, right? You and who else is
No one yet.
Oh, no one yet. So you are.
I took over a little early because of someone's departure from their IU, but I should be getting a cohort hopefully soon.
Yeah, hopefully soon. So, all right. Well, thank you, Lynn, for everything that you've done. And I know budget season is quite crazy. I know that the district reaction to our general operating budget was very positive from the board, as well as the superintendents, as well as the business managers. Just for those on the call that may not know how this all works, for the general operating budget, and that's approximately, we're at what, 4.7, 4.8 million for our general operating budget?
6.7.
See, man, I'm behind the times here. So about 6 million. It used to be around 4 million. So it just shows you the growth of the general operating budget. But that 6.7 million is only part of the overall operations, which is equaling 35 million.
36 to 37 in total.
Yeah, so it's a very small part of it, but it's the most important budget in the eyes of our districts when it comes to, how much they then have to pay towards being a member of the IU. So whatever shortfall that we have from the revenue that's brought in to our expenditures for the general operating budget has to be made up by the school districts. And it is made up proportionally. So Monessen has a smaller portion as compared to Hempfield, which is our largest district. And Lynn, if I remember correctly, the shortfall this time was around $191,000 that districts collectively will have to pay. And that is stagnant as compared to last year.
Right. It's less than 3% of our total budget.
Yeah, so less than 3%. So just a little history lesson when we have, trivia for the Westmoreland Intermediate Unit. In 1990, it was 19% of the total of the general operating budget had to be funded by the school districts. Now we're around, would you say, just below 3%?
Yep.
So it just shows you the intermediate unit is becoming more and more independent with the amount of revenues we're able to bring in for the projects and so on. But anyway, sorry, I could talk about that for days. I won't. because all of you are waiting with bated breath to hear from Tim Hamill, our Curriculum Services Director. So Tim, talk to us about the world of curriculum services.
All right. Well, first and foremost, we have a lot of our schools right now have some major concerns regarding assessment. Due to the pandemic, everything has shifted in terms of what the rules are. Assessment's still happening, but with some very important caveats. So, the team is spending a lot of time navigating the waters, if you will, trying to understand all the ins and outs. A lot of questions coming from districts, not a lot of answers that are clear for everybody. So trying to take those questions to PDE and get answers when needed. So that work is an ongoing basis. So that's one of the fallout components from the pandemic. But we'll get through it, and assessment's going to happen. The reality is, though, that assessment's going to mean some very different things. And a lot of people will say, well, what good are the assessments given that students haven't been in learning situations that are usually conducive to them being able to handle the test? Well, the reality is that they can use these assessments now to as one way to assess where students are and where the gaps are, among other things. So lots of discussion on that right now. Jumping over to another item, this last week and the week before, we had a really exciting event, and I think I saw Natalie on the call here, but I'm going to put a huge shout out to Natalie from Student Services, who had engaged with us in Curriculum Services to pull off what I think was an absolutely amazing event, the academic quiz. We've been doing the academic quiz with the Westmoreland IU for even longer than I've been at the IU. It's well over the 15 years that I've been associated. And I think this year posed some really interesting challenges in that we could not do the academic quiz face-to-face. So if you've ever imagined trying to do a Jeopardy style quiz, but do it in a virtual environment on Zoom, you can imagine some of the ins and outs here that we had to overcome. And between the technology support that we got from Technology Services and the support of the curriculum team, and especially Natalie's leadership through it all, we were able to do a very successful event. And I think it couldn't have gone any better, honestly. And in the end, after 2 days of running competitions through Zoom, we ended up with Kiski area and Franklin Regional in the final match. And the winner of that match ended up being Kiski area, who will go on in April to a state competition to be held very much the same way that we did here this past week, 2 weeks. So again, congrats to everybody for really pulling out all the stops and making that happen. It was a huge effort and not easy to do. So thank you for everything on that one. Jumping over to news on E-Academy. We began our 4th grading period just recently, and numbers continue to grow, although things have slowed down, of course. But as of today, we are at 3,252 students who've been involved to this point, with 20,848 course enrollments to date. That represents a 428% growth since opening day. So huge numbers and huge management tasks from the team on that one. We are continuing to focus on the development moving forward into next year. There's a lot of questions that surround what it'll look like for next year, how this year impacts next year. To do some some upfront research, Becky has been leading a distance learning focus group, which has really been great because it's kind of taken us back to some developmental thoughts about what do we need to do differently as we move forward into next year. And we've been getting some great input from districts, some great discussion, and some real good direction to move forward into next year. One of the primary components for us right now is the development of elementary coursework. We've relied on third-party vendors up until now for that, and our goal is to begin to end that reliance upon those third-party vendors so that we have our own teachers teaching our own courses. It's a heavy lift. There's a lot to it, but I know we have our E-Academy folks have already got some of that underway and beginning to get the process accomplished. So excited to see what comes of that. We do plan to have some of it available in the fall. We don't know that we'll have a full elementary load at that point, but we should be well on our way. Additionally, we're recruiting more teachers at this point. The all call has gone out for anybody interested in teaching for E-Academy for next year. Have had good response. I think last I checked with Becky, we had about 30 people who had replied about interest in teaching, and that door is open, and we certainly welcome anybody who's interested in becoming a teacher for E-Academy to join us. So I will end it there. Thank you very much, and thanks to the team and everybody who's kept the ball rolling here this past quarter. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Tim. I really appreciate it. Just a quick shout out to you, Tim. I know you and Christy worked together on the marketing video that is being shown over and over and over again in the observation area of the vaccination clinic. So thank you so much for putting that together so quickly.
Sure.
I think you probably had, what, 48 hours to 72 hours to get it done. It's outstanding. So thank you.
Well,
And
you're
appreciate
welcome. I went last night for my vaccination, and the gentleman who was there sitting right by the screen, who obviously had to sit there for a majority of his day, I said to him, so would you kill me if I told you I was the one who created that video? So he said, oh my God, I've heard it all day. But yeah, I had enough of it myself. I can't imagine listening to it all day long.
Yeah, we are trying to break the carousel of progress record
That's right.
of the number of showings per day. But thanks again.
You're
It's a
welcome.
great opportunity for us to market what we do and highlight all of the divisions. So thank you on such short notice to get that done. Really appreciate that. All righty. Well, it looks like Matt Thomas is ready to rock and roll for student services. So Matt, you should be able to share your screen. So you're up. What's going on in the world of student services? You might be muted, Matt.
Let's just double check to make sure you can see my screen.
Yep, we
You
can
should
see it.
Victories and celebrations. Okay, awesome. So this is just yet a small plethora of things that are happening in student services. So not intended to cover every single thing happening, but these are some things that we're highlighting now, and we're very happy about it. And there's been a recent focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so we are starting to have more conversations strategically about those three concepts and what they mean. And I wouldn't say we've done it division-wide. We haven't done it formally, but we're starting to hear a lot more about the region, looking at DEI coordinators, DEI leaders regarding diversity, equity, inclusion. And that's what we do in student services. We're dealing with a lot of inclusivity when it comes to learning styles, learning situations, educational settings, and such. So I put that graphic on there to spawn some thinking in advance of, I think, what we're about to see for years to come. So without further ado, let's get into some celebrations. Jason Stragan and Dr. Becky McGee and Luann Murtha have all been working on a grant. I also want to give a shout out to Mary Petrina and Lynn Marchwinski, who are our job job coaches, job coach mentors rather, excuse me. And as a part of a grant that was written last fall, Patton Pittsburgh was able to support Westmoreland Intermediate Unit with a small grant of $30,000 to put a PAYS lab into that. And PAYS stands for the Practical Assessment Exploration System. If I can tab over, if somebody can just give me a thumbs up if they see me go to my next tab. Can you still see the video? So this is I'm sort of stealing from Jason's video or Twitter feed here. This is graciously offered by Tim Hamill and Curriculum Services team to us to use Center Ice, and to use Center Ice as clearly as still Center Ice, but we're now enhancing it with a lot of the PAYS tools. And this video was from a few weeks ago. There's been a little reorganization here and there for use. You'll notice on the back wall there are a whole bunch of symbols. The beauty to this project is we do not have a PAYS lab within our county. And when we're making decisions on vocational training, IEP teams need data. They need a collection of data of the assessments that are happening so that they can make informed decisions on what does the transition grid look like? What career and technical opportunities will be available for kids? And so that data that certainly helps empower the IEP team in those decisions. PAYS is one of those ways to get there. And I will not pretend to understand every single concept, because people even on this very call were trained by PAYS directly and will be doing some of those tasks. So this is a learning and growth point for us. This is innovation in real time, and we're very excited to have that in place. So thank you to everyone that has contributed to the PAYS lab coming on board with the Westmoreland IU. I may have mentioned this before. This is a sense of pride for me because I think I just like shiny, bright objects. But this is a 2020 Ford Transport van. You'll notice in there that this actually, we're just getting to the point where we're getting ready to use this now, coming back to in person. This is a fairly large vehicle that will be transporting kids between Clairview, some of our job sites, Clairview and our administration building, and smaller tasks around the county. And so you'll notice the third picture at the right, there is a wheelchair lift built in. This is something that we've had to use contractors to provide, even for the 700-800 feet between Clairview's school, the Clairview school rather, and the administration building. And now we have this flexibility in-house. You'll see Mrs. Murtha in the center photo modeling appropriately how to sit in the seat very gingerly. So we're happy to have her available too. So thank you, Mrs. Murtha. And thank you to everybody that came up with this idea. It's an awesome idea. We are launching an apartment program. And some of you in this call have heard this, some of you haven't. We now have a partnership that's blossoming with the Westmoreland County proper to give us free access to 4 townhouses across Westmoreland County that are regionally positioned. And we are just at the point at which we're ready to sign contracts with the Housing Bureau, with the county, to make this happen. This is, in a short term, a way to teach independent living skills to young adults, again, as supporting their IEP teams and supporting our Clairview School and other school districts across the county. This again, I use the word blossoming. It's coming to fruition right now. But the good news is that we should be positioned to provide a full-fledged apartment program in the fall. And we have also dreams beyond just a physical apartment program in those townhouses. Tim Hamill and I are currently working with the RAND Corporation. We were asked to get involved in a grant called Project Alert. I will bring this up on the screen here. Project Alert is an online curriculum for substance abuse prevention in grades 7 and 8. And we will be talking to our building principals soon about this potential. It's not a guarantee of funds. It's a guarantee of support. We will definitely have some initial funds if we are correctly awarded up front. And then we hope to build this into our repertoire of services where we can service and support yet another lens that is associated with wellness. Note, please, that Step Up Westmoreland and some of our behavioral health initiatives in the TAC team between curriculum and student services have done a lot in terms of student wellness. We're now even taking that a step further. Many different programs out there for substance abuse awareness. this particular curriculum that I'm showing you on the website is free. Our goal is to take the free content with the help of the grant and the RAND Corporation and elevate that into a Java-like network of professionals that will serve as a cadre of experts for this task. So we're very excited about this potential too. And I guess I missed a slide by accident, but I want to give a shout out to many people on this call, everyone pretty much, but also I want to give a shout out to Dr. Becky McGee for elevating a great idea. We now are, as a Westmoreland Intermediate Unit, we have an active institutional review board. And for those of you that think, what is an IRB? What is an institutional review board? An IRB will allow us as a team of administrators and experts in the field to review projects for peer reviews research. So IRBs are typically designed in higher educational institutions or healthcare facilities to do active research on human subjects. And since we're working with a lot of minors, I don't think kids are as much of the focus as the practice is the focus. And so when we use the term action research in the field, we're talking about, I tried something in an educational environment or any environment for that matter, and this is what I learned. We are looking to develop an IRB, and certainly that's the reason we launched one at the Westmoreland IU, to elevate practice, to do action research, to give teachers and administrators the ability to be a part of probably a small journal article, to elevate and expose their better practices that are out there. And to do that in earnest, to do that in a legitimate way, institutions elevate the research itself by making sure there are controlled protocols that protect human subjects, and protocols related to the collection of data are steadfast. They're good. So a thank you to Becky and Dr. Conway and other people that have supported this particular task. We're growing. This isn't something we're all experts at. We're going to learn with it. But the IRB certainly will give all of our divisions, in addition to our school districts, the potential to do action research moving forward in a very earnest and open way. And as always, we're always promoting kindness. We've been doing this a lot with, I know, our themes throughout the IU, or our conference planning and other areas. I saw this picture the other day and it really resonated with me. I've heard the quote before, but when you see the gentleman holding the woman's hand and helping her down the stairs, gosh, how about another million photos we could have captured out of COVID of people helping people, of holding up the FaceTime camera for a family to say goodbye to a loved one. I mean, just tremendous amount of kindness in the world. And I think we just always have to see that in front of us to celebrate that. And on that note, Dr. Conway, that concludes the Student Services Division.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Thomas. And thank you, Tim and Lynn as well. Always do a great job giving us information that we may not simply know what's going on if we don't work in that division. And even though we may work in that division, we're so large and so many great things are going on, we may not be aware of everything that's going on. So that's why we do these quarterly meetings, to kind of capture, what has been going on, and it kind of serves as a historical record for all of us. And for those who are on the call and those who are going to watch this later, hopefully you find great value in that. All right. Well, I'm going to be the closer for today. I always liked doing that when I was pitching in high school rather than start. I'd rather be the closer. And so first, let me start off by just giving a simple reminder that until the state does lift any type of mitigation efforts, we as an organization still do need to wear our masks, even though we may be fully vaccinated. We still need to physically distance from one another to the maximum extent possible. And also the simple things such as washing our hands and sneezing into our elbows and things like that. And so until the state lifts those mitigation requirements and guidelines, we still, in our building, still have to follow those. And I think there is light at the end of the tunnel as the governor is beginning to increase indoor and outdoor capacities, greater numbers of vaccinations that are occurring. I think it's just a matter of time before we're going to be seeing some relaxation. But again, it's the please and thank you culture that we started a year ago, that you always ask someone to please do something if they're not. And that person should always remind by saying, thank you for reminding me of doing that. And so anyway, I hate to be the heavy on that, but just, again, just a simple reminder. We don't want to get lazy in all of this and go backwards with that. Okay, enough being the heavy. Let's get into some great news here to share. First, I want to welcome Kimberly Bush onto the team as our new Human Resources Administrator. She took over from Cindy Camione, who retired at the very end of the calendar year. Kim joined us at the middle of January and has been doing an absolute fantastic job. And so once you get a chance to see her in person, make sure that you introduce yourself and welcome her onto the team. She is beginning to take over more and more of the responsibilities, such as the staff report. If somebody is in close contact with somebody who is tested or presumptive positive, she is becoming the lead, in that contact, and you'll see that within the survey. Also, a major thing that's been going on within HR is our continued integration of Frontline Central and frontline professional growth when it comes to evaluations, and fully utilizing those technology solutions. It was seamless moving from Cindy over to Kim, and Kim has taken the ball and she's running with it as well as Cindy was with implementing Frontline Central for the organization. So more to come on that. And so be patient. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out, to Kim when it comes to information that might be in Frontline Central and so on. Probably the major thing that's happened over the last 3 months, and Eric Vaughn had a family matter he had to take care of today, or he would be reporting about this, but I told him I would do that on his behalf. And that is the vaccination clinics that the intermediate unit is hosting and organize the registration of all of the vaccinations that are occurring within this county. And just as kind of some background, the governor announced first week of March that he was going to dedicate the Johnson & Johnson vaccines to school-related personnel and contractors. And he announced that on the 3rd of March, I believe. However, intermediate units were well in the loop as early as February 28th in discussions with the governor's office. And intermediate units across the state agreed that we should serve as the vaccination sites for school personnel within our intermediate units. And so all 28, and we minus out Philadelphia because they had their own plan with the city of Philadelphia. So those 28 intermediate units jumped feet first in and said, absolutely, we will support the governor's initiative. And the main support the intermediate units have been providing the governor's office in his initiative is providing the space for the clinics and getting the spaces ready, as well as then overseeing the registration of those vaccination appointments, and verifying employees and school contractors. And so thank you to everyone that completed that mandatory state survey. Across the county, 6,100 state surveys were completed. Our organization, we figured there were about 12 people who did not complete the state survey. So we were well into the 98% completion rate for an organization. So thank you, everyone, because that really helped out with determining how many doses this county needed, and then whether or not others needed it and then it needed to be shifted elsewhere. So it was so important for that state survey to get completed. And so when you take those 6,109 state surveys that were completed across our intermediate unit, that would be our intermediate unit and the 17 school districts, the 3 CTCs, the charter school, and all of the non-public schools that we serve. That's a lot of surveys. And out of the 6,000 surveys, 2,371 indicated that they wanted the vaccination. through the intermediate unit vaccination clinics. And so what had to happen then is our intermediate unit staff then took that data, they organized that data, sent it back to the districts and said, okay, here are all the names that want the vaccine. We now can give you X amount of doses. Now you have to give us verified names and email addresses back to the intermediate unit. And so all of our districts, our CTCs, our non-public schools, they did a wonderful job working with our staff to get that stuff back. Our intermediate unit staff then collated all of that data and then uploaded up to the state. Our initial allotment actually was 2,500 doses. So anyone that asked for the vaccination received it within our county. And we also were able to add a few more because realizing we weren't going to hit the 2,500. Also, people would have maybe gotten the vaccine in the meantime, even though they signed up for it. And then we simply had others that were kind of waiting and seeing and decided at a later time that, yeah, I do want it. We probably added another 100 to 150 since this past Saturday, adding to those who wanted the vaccine. So all told, I'm going to guess that we administered about 2,300 vaccinations by the end of tonight. The last shot will go into someone's arm tonight around 9 o'clock this evening. So a great success story for all intermediate units across the state, and really specifically to this intermediate unit. And I would be remiss if I did not do a couple of shout outs because so many people were involved with the physical location organization, as well as organizing all of those registrations. These individuals came in over the weekend to work at the clinics. Kathy Dahl, Melanie Zoich, Dee Petrie, Jacob Haar, Brian Schwartz, and forgive me if I missed anyone from the custodial and support staff. Thank you so much for your willingness to come in and help out over the weekend. The biggest shout out that I want to give through all this is to Eric Vaughn, because I called Eric the evening of February 28th, which was a Sunday, and I said, Eric, be prepared for a big major project coming our way when it comes to vaccinations. And so by Monday afternoon, we had the details. And from the very beginning, he was in charge of all of the physical facility items associated with the vaccinations. And he did an absolute wonderful job getting the building ready, directing staff to get it organized, the signs, ordering things that people wouldn't be going all over the place within the building. Did an absolute wonderful job, and he was putting in 20-hour days to get this all organized. So special shout out really does go to Eric. Another one goes to AMI, who's the company that then organized with the governor's office the registrations and the collection of the vaccinations here. And then lastly, the National Guard. We had Pennsylvania National Guard on site that provided security, helped with the inoculations, and just general support of anything that we needed. I also should mention Westmoreland County Emergency Management. You can't see it, but their trailer has been parked here in our parking lot, and Pima and Rocky from Westmoreland Emergency Management have been on site throughout the entire vaccination process to lend support with them. So we've never had such a well-guarded and secure facility in our whole careers here by having Pima and the National Guard here. And Eric and I walking around like security people too, making sure things are going well with that. But anyway, just a huge undertaking, and I can't thank everyone enough for what they've done for the organization. As I mentioned earlier, Tim helping to, creating that video, Christy, Kim, and Charlene helping with creating handouts, because we looked at this as a marketing opportunity. When else are we going to have 2,700 people walk through our intermediate unit building and some of them may not even know what the heck we do. So why not provide them some education of what we do and have a good feeling about the intermediate unit when they walk out, even though their arms might be sore and they got a breakfast for and a bottle of water, they got some knowledge as a result of it. So it definitely was a crown jewel in this intermediate unit's efforts. And I know all of our school entities were very appreciative of the intermediate unit's efforts in carrying this out. So anyway, that just, and hopefully forgive me if I did overlook anyone. And Tim, Lynn, and Matt, am I missing anyone when it comes to shout outs for the vaccination clinics? Yeah. Okay. Alrighty. So it's just on the heels of that. We still are working under a work from home whenever you can type of system here at the administration office. We will continue to watch the rates of infections and make decisions of how and when we would be beginning to reopen the building. Currently, we are closed to any type of large group meetings, trainings, and things like that. The board is going to be meeting in person next Tuesday, kind of as a trial run to see how things will go with that. And then hopefully we can soon begin to peel back and start to get people back into this building and start hosting events, hopefully by midsummer that we would potentially be able to do that. But we really have to rely on those, I can't talk, those stats around infection rates in the county, which they do continue to go down. And with the vaccinations, it's only going to improve thereafter with that. Another thing just to share, don't forget Variety Dress Down Day is on Friday. So don't forget to dress down. I don't refer to it as Jeans Day because the purpose is not to wear jeans, it's to celebrate variety charity. And so that's why you always refer to it as Variety Dress Down Day, even though you might be able to wear jeans. It's not a jeans day, it's a Variety Dress Down Day because we're celebrating our continued support with Variety, the children's charity. Unfortunately, we did have an event that was going to be giving out bicycles, communication devices, and adaptive strollers. That was planned for this past Tuesday, but we had to postpone it due to the vaccination clinics. So we're looking at an event that is going to take place sometime in May, if not June, around the Memorial Day holiday. So I'll keep the team informed of when that's going to happen. And if somebody asks you, is it too late to sign up for Variety Dress Down Days? It's never too late to sign up for that program. So if you have friends asking, just have them contact me or Jenny Moore to get signed up for that. Alrighty. Well, last thing I have here is our next quarterly meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, June 9th. And so make sure that you mark your calendars for that. I'll be sure to send up an update on that. Also, I forgot to mention that our scheduled all WIU in service day that was scheduled for Wednesday, March 31st is now turned into a division-based in service day. And so we have the Menards is not finished, so we cannot hold our in-service day in the new hardware store. And so we don't have any place that we can put ourselves, but we're also under restrictions of the number of people we can have together. So unfortunately, we'll be doing our celebrations online again towards Memorial Day, June, announcing PIN and PIN attainments and things like that. But rest assured that once we are physically all back together, we will backtrack and celebrate everyone who got pins, as well as retirees that we didn't get to celebrate in person. So we will definitely make up for that with some type of big shindig to celebrate in the near future for that. All right. Well, thank you for indulging me with all of those different updates. Tim, Lynn, or Matt, is there anything that you think I should have shared that I missed before we open it up for questions?
That I can think of.
Okay, seeing none. Okay, or hearing none, we'll open it up to the floor. We do have standing room only that is attending the quarterly meeting. Is anyone that's on the call have a question that they would like to pose? Or you can put it in the chat. A question in the chat room is, are you really wearing a wig, Dr. Conway? No, this is actually my real hair that has been growing out since October. So if you were wondering, it is actually my real hair as well as down here. So if you were wondering, it's legit. So thank you for that question, Sue Soltis.
That
Okay.
was unkind. That was unkind.
I love
Grizzly
you, Sue.
Adams. Grizzly Adams. No, but I just want a shout out to everybody involved with the vaccine clinics. Just to reiterate what you said, I had just a flawless experience of walking into the building, being directed by everyone. The staff were so kind and so friendly, and it just everything worked out perfectly. So I want to thank you for everyone who helped out with that.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you, Sue. I appreciate the feedback. And I'll be sure to share that too with AMI and the National Guard and PEMA too. Yeah. And remember, Sue, if I didn't like you, I wouldn't pick on you, right? Notice I never pick on Matt Thomas. So, or Nathan Maines.
Actually, you do.
I was going to say that's an untruth.
Nathan Maines, say no more.
All right. With that, anything else before I close down the recording? All right. Well, thanks again, everyone, for joining us today. And those who are watching on the recorded YouTube version of this, if you have any questions or follow-ups, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thanks again for joining us. That ends the official meeting. Thank you.